Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. Let's talk about drought. Let's talk about how it affects New York State and how it affects where I live in Rochester. So, right now, there's a massive worldwide drought that's going on. And this has been going on for the last couple of decades. But nobody has really been preparing us for the drought that we're experiencing. You see a lot of people talk about climate change and they talk about stopping and preventing climate change. Well, here's the deal. You never hear them talk about preparing for the climatic shift that we're actually experiencing right now. You never hear them talk about it. Have you ever wondered about that, right? Like every year they say, oh, this is affected by the climate change, that is affected by the climate change, this and that and the third, and everything's affected by the climate change. But they never actually prepare you for what you're experiencing. That's a result of the climatic shift. So let's jump right into it. This drought that we're experiencing right now is a worldwide thing. It's going hard in Africa. It's going hard in India right now. They've got 20, 30 degrees higher than normal in India right now. Africa's become a sweltering, water, like abandoned wasteland. It's really rough in many parts of Africa right now. Not the whole continent, but many, many parts. Australia is also suffering right now. And they're on the way going into winter, but that's a whole separate conversation. So right now we're seeing these effects travel all across the world and impact everywhere. Most recently, you may have heard what's going on at Lake Mead, where Las Vegas is. So in Las Vegas, they're in the middle of the desert. They get water from Lake Mead, but Lake Mead also feeds a lot of other towns and sources. So right now they're trying to pull water from deeper into the reserve, the lake, that they're using as a reserve right now for their fresh water. And it's cutting off other towns and places that need it. So this is an interesting thing that we're seeing happen there. Now remember, in New York State, we've got all of these Great Lakes. They're literally called Great Lakes. So it's kind of awesome. They're kind of awesome and they're huge and they're pretty deep. We've got Lake Erie and we've got Lake Ontario. Where I live, we've got the Erie Canal, but we've got Lake Ontario. Somebody make that make sense. But anyway, with the lakes that we have, those feed a lot of small bodies of water, a lot of inland, more lakes that are inland. In Rochester, we get a lot of our water from the watershed. Some of them get it from the lake, depending on where you live. But we've got a source of fresh water right now that other places in the country don't have as much of right now. So you see California is filled with fire. Everything's on fire because of the drought. Now mentioning the fire, in New York State right now, there is a burn ban. So you can't take rubbish in the trash and take it in the back and burn it. You're not able to burn your leaves or whatever you got or your roughage or whatever. They will come out and they will fine you. You're not able to do that right now. Right now, that is not legal. Why? Because it's so dry. People say, oh, well, it snowed over the winter and all the water and all the... But it hasn't really snowed in this place in like 20 years. Any of us that are basically Rochester natives and have been around for more than 20 years can tell you, it used to snow. Like, it used to snow. Like, when I was little and I was walking to school, when I was in like elementary school, the snow was taller than I was. And that wasn't like a one-time occurrence. That wasn't like a blizzard. That was like normal snow. So that's how it used to be. But now I'm a May baby. Shout out. Okay, so May's coming up right now. It just happened a couple minutes ago, as a matter of fact, as we're shooting this video. But May's here, and they used to have a saying, April showers bring May flowers. Well, we haven't had many showers in April, right? Not hardly any. I think it rained maybe 2 days, and that's about it. It's been pretty daggone dry, and that's very, very important for the future. Now, a lot of you have seen in the news the last couple of days for Rochester, the what is it, King's Landing waste treatment plant, where a lot of our sewage goes and stuff like that. They're talking about, oh, it's a horrible smell coming from there, whatever the case is, whatever the case is. Well, since 2017, I've very publicly been advocating that we need a complete reworking and renewal and optimization of our water treatment and the way we use water in Rochester. But that plea has fallen on deaf ears. You know, I've talked to city council, I've talked to a couple of people in the state level. It's like, no, we'll get around to it. It's not that big a deal. It's not that important. But it is important. And now it's impacting us more than ever. Okay? Let me explain. You see California's on fire. You see the Midwest is on fire. You see how there are substandard crop yields right now because there has been so little water? Yeah, it's an issue. It's not just an issue here. Again, it's an all over the world thing. But we have this water here. So what's happening is now we are getting climate migrants. So people fleeing from California, people fleeing from Vegas, people fleeing from Arizona, okay? People fleeing from the Midwest to come here. Now you're like, wait a second, Marcus, that doesn't sound right. New York is losing people. That is very, very true. New York is losing people. But if you see all of the plans that are coming out from the state, all of the projects that are coming out from the city and stuff like that, everything is 2035, 2050. Why? Because that's when they believe that everything will be pretty much settled. And I'm telling you guys, they are right. That's why everything that they are doing is not for us. And you're like, well, why are they doing that? That's not going to help us, because it's not for us. Okay, it's for the climate migrants that are coming in. And now we're not talking about people crossing the southern border. We're talking about people from other parts of the country coming here because this is where the water is. The last couple of days, it's been brought back up that Bill Gates is the largest farmland holder outside of corporations. Now, this is true. Okay, very, very true. Some people are like, oh, well, it's not that much. It's just a little teeny bit of land that he owns in comparison to the big corporations, but it's a lot of land he owns in comparison to any of the private landholders. Okay, so this is very important to remember. And it's not even about the land, and this is what I try to impress upon people. It's not about the land, it's about the water. It's about the water rights, okay? It's about the water that's underneath the land that he's purchased, okay? We have to pay attention, because almost everything that's going on right now is about the water, and it goes back to the water. Okay, and very soon they're going to be fighting wars over the water, and this should be a much longer video because there's other parts that really need to go into it, but we're really just talking about the state and how it's affecting us here in New York, and specifically where I am in Rochester. But that goes back to these projects. So all of these projects are being designed for people who are coming in. I don't know how we can get the people that are in power right now to understand that our most precious resource, which is the water that we have here, needs to be shored up, and we need to make sure that we're going to have enough of it and we're able to retain enough of it. Right now, if you're in Rochester, you know where the reservoirs are. We got the 2 reservoirs. They don't hold any water. They hold like no water. Like not for a town that has about 200,000 people. Not at all. That water, if we had to, Lord forbid, depend on that water for our water usage, it'd be gone in an hour or 2. It's just not enough. It's simply not enough. And if you go up to Cobb's Hill, you see the new reservoir, but there used to be other they're like big empty dome looking things with the top off. So they're like this, like a circle, and they're metal and stuff like that. They used to use that for other water storage, but they got rid of them. They disused them. I don't know what the situation was there, but we need those type of things right now to store more water. Lord forbid something happen. And I'm so serious about this, and I need people to pay attention that these are things that we need to be paying attention to. They're things that we know that are issues, but nobody's addressing them. They tell you that they care about the climate, that they care about climate change, but they're not doing anything for us to prepare us for what we're experiencing right now. And that's something that needs to be addressed very seriously. Very seriously. Not just our storage of water for our reserves, but the fact of the way that we treat our water. When you flush the toilet, pretty much all of it goes down the drain into the sewer, and then you get the runoff from the roads and stuff into the sewer, and all of that pretty much drains right into the lake. Okay? Why does it drain into the lake? I don't know. Because back in the day, they just didn't care. We're talking about a water grid system that was built 100, 200 years ago, basically. Okay? And I'm serious, because a lot of it hasn't been updated from there, and that's why we got so many daggone lead pipes, especially in my community, because my community is a higher concentration of poverty, so they just told us bend over backwards. We're not giving you, the only pipe that we're giving you is the lead pipe that you already got. When they have repaired and replaced a large section of the water pipes all across the more affluent parts of the city, but we're not going to talk about it, okay? And then nope, not getting into that. Different video. But we have a serious water issue. We really do. We need to be preparing for water storage. We need to change our water filtration system. We need to be using the lake as a more accessible resource to plan our water distillation, which we don't really need distillation because we've got fresh water, right? But we still need water treatment. So we need better water treatment, better water storage. That's something we need to get on very, very fast, because our water usage habits are not going to be ready for what's coming. And that's why we need to work on this, not just on the city level, but on the county level and on the state level as well. And the state is just not doing it. This is one of the important things I work on addressing as I'm running for 137th Assembly District. When I'm elected for Assembly, that's one of the first things that I'm going to work hard to address. But we've got all of these issues with water and using it as a resource, and that goes into farming, food production, and everything else as well. So it's very important that we look into this ASAP. We should have been on this, but we haven't been. I've been pushing for it, but they haven't done anything because they're only concerned about the people that'll be here in the future. They're not concerned about you. They're not concerned about me. They're not concerned about anyone but themselves and lining their pockets and the pockets of their benefactors, okay, their masters, okay, whoever helped push them into office. It's not about us, the people that they're supposed to represent. And that's one of the problems with government right now. That's why I encourage everybody to vote different this year. Vote different. Vote row B. Because I'll be on row B, and there's going to be some very good candidates that are on row B as well. So if you're in New York State, if you're in Rochester, vote row B. And that's for all of New York State. I'm telling you, vote row B. But especially if you're in Rochester, vote row B. You don't have to vote one line just because that's your party. You can vote on other lines as well. We deserve better. We really do. So I'm going to do my best to keep fighting, keep putting out solutions and plans and stuff like that when I get into office, because I've got a ton of things that we need to work on to help improve our community and our city, as well as our county and our state. I know it's important. I know what's important. They're not addressing it right now. It's as if they don't care. I know you feel like they don't care. I care. And I'll bring up these things that are very important that they're not looking for, because we deserve somebody who's forward thinking. We deserve somebody who's willing to say, hey, this is important and it's not being addressed. And that's not what we're getting out of our current assembly member that represents my district right now. I'm not taking a jab at him or anything. I hear he's a rather nice, personable person, but as far as an elected official, we deserve more. And the time is now to get it. And remember, vote different, you guys. Be blessed. Be well. I'll catch you later.